Good morning, everybody, and good afternoon and evening for some of you. Happy Monday, and welcome to the month of August. I know that we kicked off this month a couple days ago, but we usually do these Creative Manifesto sessions on the first Monday of the month. So here we are, and here is my snoring dog, so apologies for that. But thank you so much for tuning in and joining me. So for those of you that have never joined a Creative Manifesto session, the point of these sessions once a month is to give you a chance, and to give all of us a chance, to sit down together and come up with some creative goals for the month that lies ahead. And I'll get into in a little bit here what those can look like. But for starters, I want to say hi to everyone who's here because there are so many of you trickling in, which is fantastic. We've got Mary and Celeste. Erin is here. Lydia, awesome. Mitzi, we've got Maria checking in before her bedtime. It's probably pretty late there in Russia. Leanne, Anne, Alex is here. Actually, it's Lizzie, not Alex. Gina, let's see, Jan, Ray, and Jesus is here. Linda from Southern California. So great to see all of you. So for those of you that are here for the first time, or not, I want you to get a sketchbook and get something to draw with or write with. So I'm going to grab my Lamy Safari and just my basic sketchbook. So I want you to have something to write on and something to write with. So for starters, that's what you're going to need today. So for the Creative Manifesto, the idea behind this session is that we all need to have goals, right? We need to think of things that will keep us inspired and keep us motivated to keep drawing and frankly just keep going. Times like these right now, it's kind of hard to stay motivated and stay excited about what you're doing. Hey, Joanna is here. Excellent. Sarah, Corinne, awesome. So good to see all of you. So it's really important to keep creative goals in mind. And those can be really small goals, or they can be super specific, or they can be pretty lofty and big. But I love to have these sessions with all of you so that we can sit down at the start of the month and just think about what we want to focus on for the month, whether it's in our sketchbook, in our creative practice in general, or in our life. A lot of times these goals can kind of expand out beyond the pages of your sketchbook and really kind of touch you in other areas of your life. Looks like Kim is checking in from Atlanta for the first time, which is fantastic, Kim. I was just giving a rundown of kind of the whole point of setting creative goals. And for those of you just trickling in, I want you to eventually have a sketchbook and something to write with. Sorry, I think my neighbor's air conditioner just kicked on, so you might hear that. But get a sketchbook ready and get something to write with. And for starters, I want to show you guys just some examples. I love to look back on creative manifestos from the previous month that some of you have shared. Daniel is checking in, which is great. Hey, Daniel. But I want to share some images from the schoolyard of people that shared their creative manifestos from the month of July. So just to show you a few different examples of what people do for their creative manifesto each month. So this is an example from Bene, and she posted sort of just a focus that she wanted to have for the month of July. So focus on dreams. And she kind of illustrated hers, did a little bit of a self-portrait here. So that's one way that you can draw up your creative manifesto. Another student, Uta, she did more of a checklist, and I think that's what I'm going to do this month. But she actually gave herself sort of a little list of reminders, and she even gave herself little check boxes for things that she could check off. So this was her manifesto for July. This was Uta's, and I love that she added little illustrations, but she also gave herself little tangible reminders as well as specific things that she could do. So I think that's kind of a more literal sort of checklist in the sense of creative goals, but I love how it turned out. Another student, Tara, actually focused on an author that she was reading, and she used him as sort of a guide for her goals for the month. So she actually wrote out some quotes from him and did a little sketch, a little portrait of him. And I love that Tara used sort of an inspiration from another source to kind of guide her for the month and her creative explorations. So I think that's a really great way to do it if you look to outside inspiration. We've also got Janice and Sherry checking in, and Brand Art Yoga. Cindy is here. So good to see all these familiar names. Another student, Lydia, actually made her creative manifesto a piece of art in its own right. She did this beautiful illustration, and it turned out so lovely, and she added so much color. And if you look closely, you'll see her tiny little sort of notes to herself for what she wants to focus on for the month. So for those of you doing this exercise with us today, in a little bit when we get to that, you can revisit it and embellish it and add color and add drawings. So you can really do a lot with this, and I think it's a lot of fun. And it's also a page that you'll want to return to and you'll want to look at again. So that's great. Another student, Corinne, she posted this, and this was just a note to herself. So for your creative manifesto, you can almost treat it like a letter to your future self. And I think that's what Corinne is doing here. And she's reminding herself to prioritize her time and really be careful with how she's delegating her time and what she's spending it on. So I like this as just a really practical reminder. So this is an example of a way that you can set up your creative manifesto, and she included a quote here as well, just as a reminder, which is really great. And then Linda also shared her August manifesto ahead of time because she might not be able to join us today. So she's focusing on color for the month of August, which is perfect because we have a color workshop happening next weekend, well, this weekend now, with Natalie Callback, all about color theory and creating color palettes and your personal color wheel. So Linda wants to focus on getting through the workshop and actually doing the exercises in the workshop as they happen, which is a great goal. And another student, Kim, used her daily doodle page to kind of just pick a focus word or a mantra for her August manifesto. So she wants to focus on relax and release as kind of her personal reminders. So for those of you that are doing a creative manifesto where you kind of feel overwhelmed by coming up with a to-do list or a list of specific goals, you can just assign yourself a theme. You can pick a word or a couple words to focus on of things that you want to remind yourself of for the month of August. So those can be really general, and they don't have to be super stressful or super specific if that's just kind of overwhelming for you. I know right now it's really hard to kind of think of the future and really think about setting long-term goals and getting to those because we're all kind of just trying to get through the day, right? We're trying to just make it to the next day and focus on one day at a time. So that might mean that a really detailed list of goals seems kind of daunting or intimidating. So I don't want that to scare you off. I don't want that to prevent you from picking something to focus on. So if you're in that boat, some of us might be, you can just pick a word or pick a theme that you want to focus on for the month of August. So for those of you that are here and maybe just trickling in right now, I want you to grab a sketchbook and I want you to grab a pen. You can also do this on a loose piece of paper or a Post-it note if you want to hang it up at your workspace. But I like doing it on a sketchbook page because that means I will eventually turn to that page in my sketchbook and be able to use that as a reminder. So for some of you, you can pick a random page kind of towards the end of your sketchbook. That's what I'm going to do. If you'd rather, you can pick just the next page that's available. So that can be your focus right now. Just make it so that you can easily return to it if you want to use that reminder. But what I want you to do is pick a clean page, and we are going to sit down and spend a few minutes. I'm going to set a timer just focusing on our creative manifesto. And I want you to just write whatever comes to you. You can use fancy lettering, you can just use basic handwriting and go in later and add images or add some drawings or some color. You can use this as a chance to work on your creative lettering skills. But I want you to pick a page in your sketchbook. And for those of you that pick a page, maybe 10 pages from now, 20 pages from now, it can often be a really nice surprise to just be drawing and carrying on, and then you turn the page in your sketchbook and your creative manifesto is staring at you. So that can be sort of a nice pop-up surprise reminder. But for some of us that need this kind of a little more top of mind, you can do it on the next page in your sketchbook that's available so that you can return to it and you know where it is. But it's totally up to you. But I'm going to pull up a timer and we'll just spend 5 minutes together. Get your pen or your utensil, whatever you're using, And for me personally, I'm going to write out sort of my creative to-do list because I'm feeling like a list on this Monday would sort of get me oriented and get me started off on the right foot. But I want you to think about your theme word or your focus word. And I'm going to start this timer. And I just want you to spend this time thinking about it. It's kind of just like a quiet moment where it's just you and your sketchbook, hopefully, and a pen. Maybe not a ton of noise or distraction, but this can be just a few minutes that we spend together. And I think it's just a great time to kind of collect your thoughts, look at the month ahead. And Gina is saying, plus it's also another completed page in your sketchbook. Yes, we could cross that off the list, right? This does count as, crossing off a page in the sketchbook, getting closer to that end. For me, that means I'm almost done with this darn sketchbook that I hate the paper in. I cannot wait to get started in my new sketchbook. So this is just getting me closer to that goal, which is a great reminder, Gina. So I want you to be writing right now, and once our timer goes up, I would love for you guys to share some of your goals in the chat. But right now, I just want you to focus on, and of course the pen that I grabbed is getting a little low on ink, but I just want you to focus on what your goals are for the month of August. So looks like Suzanne is popping in late. Suzanne, we just started our timer. We are doing an exercise together where we are writing down our goals, our creative goals for the month of August. And this can look like a little creative checklist. It can also look like a theme or a word that you want to focus on for the month. I am grabbing a new pen because my Lamy Safari just came up empty. Go figure. The day that I need it. But yeah, so right now we are just focusing on our goals or our theme word for the month of August. And I want you to put this in a page in your sketchbook. It can either be the next page available, or you can kind of go the route of surprising yourself, picking a later page, it's kind of random, that you will come across next time you're drawing when you hit that page. So whatever floats your boat, I just want you to be putting that down on paper. And I think it's really important to think about creative goals. I think it gives us something to kind of shoot for, especially in a time when having structure is hard and not having structure is challenging. We want to provide those things for ourselves, but it doesn't always work out. It's not always as motivating as having some of those external motivators or groups to meet up with and draw with or things like that, or going to classes. So this is really just meant to give you a chance to kind of be a little bit reflective and think about what are the things you want to improve on for the month of August. Catherine's just popping in as well. Good to see you, Catherine. So we are just writing down our theme word for the month, our goals, our creative checklists, whatever that looks like for you. We're putting that on a page in our sketchbooks. And for me, I'm doing more of a checklist. I want to finish this darn sketchbook that I don't like. So I have a couple things that I want to have accomplished by the time I hit the end of this sketchbook, which is, I don't know, in about 15 pages maybe. So the end is near. I can see my brand new Stillman and Byrne Beta Series sketchbook at the end of the tunnel that I'm going to start using, and I'm so excited about it because it's got that really thick cotton paper. But for right now, I'm just going to put some of my goals down that I want to reach before the end of this sketchbook, or by the end of this sketchbook. So that's what I'm doing. But I'm really curious for you all to share in the schoolyard using the Creative Manifesto topic. What are some of the things that you are focusing on for this month? And, what are some of the things that are getting you fired up? And I know these days it's hard to get excited about a lot of things, so we're just doing what we can, and I think these small, achievable goals can really help kind of just give you a boost. At least that's what they do for me. Debbie is just popping in. So Debbie, we are just wrapping up putting our creative goals and our themes for the month down on paper for the month of August. So that way, that gives you a way to kind of keep track of what you want to focus on for this month, what you want to improve on, or what you want to do. And I want all of you to keep in mind that these don't just have to be limited to your art practice, right? My creative manifesto for last month was get away from screens. So they could be something that can apply a little more broadly to your life. It's really just whatever you need in this moment. Gail's popping in as well. Gail, hopefully you can catch the recording and spend some time writing out your creative goals. We just hit the end of our timer, so I'm really curious to hear what you all are focusing on. Because I was babbling on, I'm going to have to revisit this, but this was my checklist, and I only got one item on it, but I'm going to add a couple more. Finish this sketchbook was number 1, because this flimsy moleskin I'm just not crazy about. It doesn't like my watercolors. I wanted to use it up. I had it in a stack of blank books that I thought I should start getting through, and I regret it. But it's almost done. So, looks like Maria would like to continue watching watercolor rules and to realize her old ideas from her notes. So revisiting old thoughts, old projects, making them a reality, I think that's great, Maria. And I think focusing on watercolor rules is something that a lot of students are working on right now, which is fantastic. But I would love for those of you that are here to share your goals with us in the schoolyard. You can use the Creative Manifesto topic. Holly, and you can also share them in the chat, Holly is going to be working on watercolor on location, which is awesome now that some COVID restrictions are lifting for some people. At least you can get outside your house maybe in an outdoor space and draw on location if you're away from people, so that's great. Celeste is going to be turning her apartment into an art studio. That is awesome. That's such an awesome goal to have a nice dedicated space to make your art. Good luck with that, Celeste. Becky wants to use some old photos she's saved as inspiration for art making. Yes, I always save things in Instagram and I never revisit that sort of saved tab. I save a lot of recipes there and I should do a lot more cooking. I should make a lot more of those yummy looking things. Erin is going to be practicing people. She wants to sketch a bride and groom for her friend's wedding in October as a gift. Erin, that is going to be the most amazing gift. One of our artists, Prashant Miranda, used to do wedding albums for people where he would draw at their wedding and just document little moments. You should look up his Instagram. It's Prashant Miranda, and you might be able to find some older posts where he draws, he shows his wedding drawings. That might be some fun inspiration for you. Mitzi says she's got a tiny bit of momentum, so she wants to keep the ball rolling. Excellent. I totally support that. Sarah is saying to stay away from the news, concentrate on artistic talents, to write and draw every day, and get a deadline going to finish her goals. I also agree, staying away from the news. You know, we don't need that kind of negativity, right? I mean, I don't want to be an ostrich with my head in the sand, but I think it's important to just know what kind of feeds your soul, right? And I don't think CNN or the news channels are really feeding our souls right now. So Sarah, good reminder. Yeah, it looks like Margaret is going to focus on color and doing more watercolor paintings. August is a great month to focus on color. We've got our color workshop coming up, which I'm really excited about. Plus, it's always good to just explore a topic like that in depth. Color will be able to, play a huge part in all of your art making, so that's an awesome goal. John is going to be drawing people wearing masks, which is great to document our current situation. Jan is going to wake up to elements, visualize herself as other, the fella, the dog, the Merlins, enemies. So that's quite an interesting personal challenge, Jan. Good luck with that. And it looks like you guys have so much going on, which is fantastic. Gina has quite a list, so she's going to post that in the schoolyard. So I encourage you all to post these in the schoolyard using the manifesto topic. I love seeing these goals, and I also feel like when you post something, you're kind of more accountable, right? Because you put it out into the world so other people know about it, so you kind of have to do it, right? Catherine's going to participate more often in the virtual Urban Sketchers group in her area, which is great. Kind of get a little more interaction going, which I think can be really inspiring. Corinne is going to focus on continuing to prioritize and edit her priorities in life and art. So it sounds like you guys are up to a lot, which is fantastic. And it's really inspiring to me to see all the things that you want to work on. I hope that you all have inspired each other because I love seeing what other people focus on. It kind of gives me new ideas. And I just want to say thanks again for those of you that tuned in for this session. I look forward to these every month, and I mean, even personally, they just give me something to kind of shoot for, something to think about for the month of August. So thank you all for tuning in, and thanks for joining us for today's session. I want to see these goals in the schoolyard. I'm hoping that you'll post them and share them with us using the Manifesto topic. And I hope that everybody has an awesome rest of your week and a great Monday. And I hope that you can, get outside, enjoy some fresh air. And for those of you that are just joining or that joined late, revisit these goals in your sketchbook, maybe add some color, do some embellishing. That's what I'm going to be doing when I get offline here. But thanks again for tuning in, and good luck this month with your creative goals.